All right, let's jump right in. For centuries, we've had this idea that national power is all about walls, armies, and basically what a country can keep out. But what if that entire model is becoming obsolete? Today, we're going to explore a huge shift in how state power actually works, and we'll use the UAE as a really fascinating example of a new model, networked resilience.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about why that old fortress idea is starting to fail. Then we'll get into this new concept of power through networks and the tools that actually make it possible. We'll look at a real-world case study to see it in action, but we'll also be honest about its weaknesses, the human factor. And finally, we'll pull it all together to ask, what does it really mean to be a powerful nation today?
Okay, first up, the crumbling fortress. For as long as we can remember, national security has been built around this fortress mindset. You know, build higher walls, stronger borders, focus everything on stopping a direct attack. It's all about being defensive and reactive.
Now this slide, this right here is the whole game. It boils everything down. On the left, you have the old way, the fortress. Power is all about what you can exclude. But look at the right. The network model completely flips that on its head. In this new world, power is about how essential you are to everyone else. It's about how indispensable you've made yourself to the global flow of everything, goods, data, energy, you name it.
So if the fortress is out, what's in? Well, that leads us to this new model, which the source material calls the Weaver paradigm. It's a great image, right? Instead of a guard on a wall, the powerful state of the future is more like a master weaver who's skillfully managing all the different threads in our deeply interconnected world.
So let's get specific. What does that actually mean? The Weaver paradigm says security isn't about building walls. It's about mastering flows. It's the argument that real, lasting stability today comes from smart connectivity and being able to adapt on the fly, not from trying to wall yourself off from all the world's problems.
And this is the core philosophical shift. It's a total change in mindset. The goal is no longer to be this untouchable, impregnable fortress. The goal is to become so critical to the network that your survival and your stability become a top priority for everyone else in that network too.
Now, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually build a system like this? How do you maintain it? That brings us to our third section, the actual tools of this network model.
One of the main tools mentioned here is something called the 72 Integrity Audit. The best way to think about it is like a super deep stress test, or maybe a CAT scan for an entire country's critical systems. Its whole job is to cut through the day-to-day noise and find those hidden weak spots, the ones that could cause a massive chain reaction failure, across everything, from your ports to your power grids.
The process basically has 3 stages. First, inputs. It sucks in all the relevant data. We're talking maps of your infrastructure, who has access to what, even legal contracts. Second, the analysis. This is where the magic happens. It hunts for those cascading failure points and for something really interesting called institutional ghosts. And third, the outputs. This isn't just some report that gathers dust. It creates actionable tools, emergency playbooks, real-time alerts for leaders, things you can actually use when things go wrong.
I love this term, institutional ghosts. We've all seen them, right? It's that obsolete procedure that's still technically on the books. It's that one IT guy who's the only one who knows how a critical system works and he never wrote it down. These are the little hidden things that seem harmless day to day, but can absolutely paralyze a government when a real crisis hits. This audit is designed to find those ghosts and, well, bust them.
Okay, theory time is over. Let's make this concrete. How does this whole Weaver idea actually look in the real world? For that, we're going to zoom in on the UAE's maritime strategy. It's a perfect example.
This is what the source calls the Aquarian model in practice. So instead of seeing a critical waterway like the Strait of Hormuz as just a military choke point you have to defend, the UAE treats it like a systemic artery. The goal isn't about winning a battle there. The goal is to make sure the flow never stops, even under extreme pressure. It's all about architectural foresight.
And here is the proof in the pudding of that foresight. The UAE went and built a massive pipeline that lets it ship 1.5 million barrels of oil per day, completely bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. So what does that do? It single-handedly transforms a potential existential threat, like a blockade, into a manageable logistical problem. That right there is networked resilience in action.
But, and this is a really big but, this model is not a silver bullet. The most brilliant architecture in the world has limits, and those limits are almost always human. This is so important to understand.
I mean, think about it. You can design the most resilient, redundant system ever, but you can't engineer away people.
You can't eliminate the risk of an insider threat, of corruption, of a sudden political shock, or just plain old bureaucratic foot dragging. A network can be brought down by a person just as easily as by a broken pipe.
And we have to be realistic here. This is not a strategy that every country can just pick up and run with. Building this kind of resilience is incredibly expensive, it's capital intensive, and it needs a ton of sophisticated, long-term management. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution you can just plug and play.
So let's bring this all home. After looking at all of this, what does it mean for the very idea of what a sovereign nation is? This is the real takeaway.
This new kind of sovereignty really stands on three pillars. The first is architecture. This provides the physical and digital bones of the entire system.
The second pillar is integrity. This is what provides the trust. It's the guarantee that the system works the way it's supposed to, because without trust, a network is pretty much useless. And finally, there's governance. This is what provides the endurance. It's the constant, daily human effort of managing the system. Because resilience isn't a product you just install one time. It's a discipline you have to practice every single day.
And that leaves us with this really powerful final thought. The very definition of a nation's strength is shifting right under our feet. It's moving away from the height of its walls and toward the integrity of its connections. So the ultimate question for leaders is no longer about exclusion, but about incorruptibility. Because in today's world, the new sovereignty is found in the architecture of flow.